Plants will instantly add style to any space, and you can add a lot of plants with this new tiered ladder planter that I just built. And I partnered with Kreg to share the plans for this ladder planter with you using their new 720 Pro pocket hole jig. This is their best pocket hole jig that has so many amazing features, and right now it's on sale, so you can grab it and make your own ladder planter. I'm going to start off by building the planter boxes that will go between the sides to create this ladder. And I've cut out all of the pieces for the sides of the planter boxes and the bottom of the planter boxes. Now I haven't cut out the front and back just yet because I'm going to measure to cut those. And I'm going to be adding pocket holes to both ends of the sides and the bottom pieces so I can assemble the bottom pieces between the side pieces. Then I can measure this finished dimension. And the reason I measure after assembly is because this dimension might change a little bit based off of the thickness of this wood. Now, a 1x3 is typically 3/4 of an inch thick, but we cannot rely on that unless we mill our own lumber, and I am not milling my own lumber for this project. So I'm going to do it that way. Now, when I put the pocket holes into the side pieces, I just need to be aware that I shouldn't put the pocket hole in this lower 3/4 inch section because it will be hidden by the bottom pieces, and I need to be able to access those pocket holes to attach the front later on. So I am just going to make a mark on the first one. So when I take it over to my Kreg pocket hole jig, I can line that up and figure out where I want those pocket holes to fall and then repeat it for all the rest. To drill my pocket holes, I am using the new Kreg 720 Pro pocket hole jig, and I love this thing. One of my favorite things is this Automax clamp. So it doesn't matter if I'm going with a thin 1/2 inch board, the 3/4 inch board that I'm going to be using for this project right now, or even a 1.5 inch thick board. I don't have to adjust the Kreg jig in order to clamp it in. I just push it down and it will automatically clamp the proper thickness. The only thing you do have to adjust is your drill bit, but all of the measurements for those 3 standard 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and 1.5 inch thick wood are already on the drill bit here. And if you have additional thicknesses of wood, you can just use the markings on the back to set your drill bit. So right now, the Kreg 720 and the 720 Pro are actually on sale. It's a great time to upgrade your pocket hole jig. You can get that on sale through the end of July. So I'm going to put all of the information in the description below and in the blog post with the build plans. So I'm going to suit up and get my dust collection hooked up to this so I can start drilling pocket holes. I've got all my pocket holes drilled and I'm ready to start assembling the base of all of my planter boxes. Now I've got 3 bottom pieces and 2 side pieces for each planter box. I'm going to do a total of 5, and I'm going to be marking this out first. So I've got the side that I made sure to pull my pocket holes up 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to mark the center of this because I want to make sure that I put the middle one right in the center. So I'm setting my little quick measure tool here from Kreg. It's one of my favorite tools. I really need like 3 of them. To 4 inches because I've got an 8 inch center, and I'm just going to draw a line there around that 3/4 inch mark for the center. Then I can swap this back to 1 1/4 inch and mark the center on just one board because it's just the center board that needs to be marked. So now I can start attaching all of my bottom slats to the side. I'm using my pocket holes that have been drilled, and I am using 1 1/4 inch pocket hole screws, which is what you use for 3/4 inch thick material, and I'm using blue-kote ones. These are made for outdoor use, and because this planter is going to be filled with soil and watered a lot, it definitely is going to need that corrosion protection from the blue-kote. So I'll attach the first one so it's centered. Then I've got 2 more one to go on either side, and I'm actually going to split the difference, so it'll be about 1/8 of an inch gap on both sides, and that is going to allow drainage holes for the water when I need to water my planter. The inside slats attached to the side pieces, and as you can see, I chose to put the pocket holes on the inside. This is going to be on the inside of the planter box. That way, the higher ones up on the plant ladder, you won't see the pocket holes. They'll be completely hidden, so the bottom will be nice and flat. Now I've got the pocket holes already drilled on the sides, so I'm ready to cut to measure the sides. So I'm just going to double check measurement, and it is just slightly bigger than 21 inches. So I'm going to go and cut my 2 pieces, and then I will attach it to the front and the back with the pocket holes. Okay, that's the first planter box base done. And I noticed that as I was attaching the front to the sides, I did need to use my right angle. It's very tight in there. The main problem is my actual impact driver is just too wide to get into that space, but it worked perfectly having my right angle, which is a new tool from Kreg, and I was able to get right into all of those holes and attach it. So now I just need to repeat for the other cabinet boxes, or sorry, planter bases, and then I will get to cutting the sides and turning this into the cutest ladder. All of my boxes built, I just need to cut the sides so I can attach them between. And I'm going to be cutting my 2x4 at a 10-degree angle on both ends. With both of my sides, legs, whatever you want to call them, cut, I've actually got them laying on my table so that they're mirrored. And it's very important to make sure that they are mirrored as we cut and attach them. So I'm going to also cut off a little bit of the end so that when it lays flat on the floor with that 10-degree angle, it will also lay flat on the wall. It won't just be balancing on a tiny little point. And to do that, I'm just going to measure in from the front 3 inches and make a mark. Then I'm going to use my speed square, and with it flat on that angled edge, I can transfer from that mark all the way to the edge of my board, and that way when it's flush there, it will be angled perfectly right there. Now to cut this small piece off, you can use any means of cutting. You can use a circular saw, a jigsaw, a bandsaw. I think I'm going to use the circular saw to make it quick and easy. Okay, with the sides now cut, I've still got them mirrored, and I'm going to start measuring to attach the planter box bases. Now I'm going to measure from the inside long part. So I'm always starting to measure from the front, and I'm going to measure up 12 inches and make a mark. Then what I'm going to do is take my speed square, and at that pivot point, I'm going to adjust before I draw my line, I'm going to adjust it to a 10-degree angle because that's the same angle as the feet. That way, I attach my base at that 10 degrees to the sides of my ladder so they're parallel with the floor, and then they kind of angle back towards the top of my ladder. And I'm going to continue and do that all the way up, so I have one at 12, and then every foot up till I have it at, last one will be at 5 feet because I have 5 of the planter bases. And now to attach my planter boxes, I'm going to measure back from the front and make a mark where I want them to sit. And all of these details are going to be in the plans in the link below. Then I can line that mark up with the line that I drew to make sure that it stays parallel with the floor. And I'm going to be attaching these with the new Quick Flip tool by Kreg. Now this tool will allow me to pre-drill my hole, and then I instantly can flip this around and use it to drive my Kreg screw in, but that'll keep it recessed in the inside of this, so that when I go to add the upper part of the planter box, it won't be in the way. And I do this with my same 1 1/4 inch blue-kote Kreg screws. And I'm going to attach all 5 of the bases to my planter box on the one side before I attach them all to the other side. Okay, I have got the base of it all done, and I am going to give it a sanding and a painting right now before I build up my planter boxes. Now you could actually use it just like this and put pots in it, but pots can get expensive. So I'm going to be using cedar fence pickets to build this up, but I'm going to paint the whole thing white and then leave the cedar natural because I like the color combination. So I'm going to hurry up and get that done, and then we'll come back and finish. I've got the stand all completely painted, and like I said, this would be a great place to leave it if you just want to put pots on it. But I'm going to create planter shelves, and I'm going to do that with these cedar fence pickets. So these are about 5/8 of an inch thick, and they are 5.5 inches tall. So I'm going to cut them to create a box inside of this frame, and then I can fill that with soil and add plants. Now this is going to create not a very tall planting area, so depending on what kind of plants, you might want to do maybe just 4 planter boxes to give you more height. I'll be able to put more height on the top, but these lower ones I'm going to use for kind of drapey and creeping plants, so it just depends on what you're going for. I'm going to start by cutting the front ones first because I don't want to see the seams, so I'll cut the front and the back. Then I'll measure the sides and cut and add those, and I'm just going to be attaching them with a finish nail gun. It's looking so good, and I am almost ready to plant. But first, I have some landscape fabric, and I'm going to cut it and just put it in the bottom of my planter boxes here. Even though I only have a very thin opening to allow water to drain through, this will keep any soil from also draining through. So I'll insert this into there, and then it's time for planting. The vertical garden turned out amazing, and it is such a fun and easy weekend project with the Kreg jig. I'm going to be sharing all of the build plans for this on my blog, housefulofhandmade.com, and I'll put the link in the description so you can follow along and build your own planter to spruce up any space in your home. If you like this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you can get notifications of more awesome DIY videos.